Good afternoon. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and administration, I would like to welcome you to today's graduation ceremony. Please stand as the senior class chorus performs our national anthem.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I'd like to now welcome Student Council President Grace Lord to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please now join me in a moment of silence that we offer for John Duxbury and for all of those who've gone before us and who share in this celebration. You are always in our minds and in our hearts. Please be seated. Welcome, everyone. It has been 2 years since we've been here at the Music Circus, and I want to start by offering a special thank you to all of the Music Circus staff, to Scott Niski, and especially to Vince Longo, who called me last July and told me that they were starting to get requests for this weekend, and were we still interested in having graduation here. And I don't even think I hung up the phone before I ran over to the office and signed the contract. As an organization that was affected by the pandemic as much as anyone, their support of the schools and our students during some of the most difficult times is an incredible testament to their sense of community. And on behalf of the graduating classes, past and present, I want to say thank you. We are privileged to be able to celebrate in the most spectacular venue around. So thank you, Music Circus. Before we begin our ceremony recognizing our seniors, I'd first like to recognize our retirees. We have 2 retirees this year. Middle school math teacher, Ms. Deb Hathaway, who's completing her 15th year at Cohasset, and middle school social studies teacher, Ms. Stephanie Noble, who's completing her 18th year of teaching in Cohasset. In the words of Principal Mills, it was in Ms. Hathaway's room that many hundreds of students learned to love math. We thank her for this great gift she's bestowed upon her students and wish her much happiness playing with her grandchild and spending time with her family. Ms. Hathaway couldn't be here today, but we wanted to wish her well and acknowledge her service to the community. Ms. Noble is here today. In addition to being a trusted faculty member, Ms. Noble was also a parent and a member of the school committee. This unique distinction makes her one of the few people that when she had a complaint, she would just email herself. There are few people who've dedicated more time and effort into the students and community of Cohasset. She's a valued colleague and friend, and Ms. Noble, we wish you nothing but the best in a well-earned retirement. I'd like to now welcome Class President Bridget Conrad to the podium to give our welcome address.
Good afternoon, families, friends, and faculty. Wow, we made it. To be honest, the fact that I'd be giving this speech almost prevented me from running for class president 10 months ago, but here we are. In my free time since then, I'd sometimes dream up dramatic speeches filled with carefully crafted metaphors and detailed imagery. Yet in the past few weeks, as schoolwork has died down, I've had plenty of time to reflect. I've been able to think about what really counts. I'm going to start by bringing us all back to the first day of kindergarten. For some here with us today, kindergarten may have been just a few years ago. Others, maybe decades. Think about that day for a minute. I still remember my lacy white socks and blue striped Land's End dress. I proudly sported my floral backpack and tin princess lunchbox, ignorantly excited for a future I couldn't yet imagine. At 5 years old, none of us knew that this was the beginning of a 13-year-long adventure. My mom and I had spent hours that summer perusing the shelves of the Cohasset Public Library, hunting for books about kindergarten. I felt like I knew everything: how to make friends, what to bring for lunch, and how to listen to a teacher. The first day, everything went as planned, aside from one small detail. I didn't have any homework. I know this sounds ridiculous, but I was seriously distraught. From that day forward, my poor mother would assign me projects to do or books to read as homework every single day. Safe to say, over the last 13 years, my thoughts on homework have changed. As we progressed through the Cohasset school system, things got a lot more complicated, largely in part because we learned how to count. Regardless of your emotional or intellectual attachment to mathematics, we all count every day. Over the past 4 years, we counted GPAs and quiz grades. We counted SAT scores and even participation points. We fruitlessly tried to calculate if 1 hour of studying is enough to pass Mr. Sears' final, praying to some divine being that it would be. We've counted page after page of books, or should I say Department articles, in an attempt to decipher what Hester Prynne's letter A truly meant. I've counted miles run and miles timed, counted volunteer hours and dollars in my bank account. We've counted likes on our Instagram posts and days left in our COVID quarantine. We count so much it becomes second nature. We spend hours chasing after numbers, searching for our identity, trying to put a label on something that can't be defined by a numerical value. Counting feels safe, it feels steady, but it's not real. In fact, at the end of the day, most quantitative things don't count in the game of life. Your class rank isn't your worth. Your GPA doesn't define you. So what really counts then? If not by number, how will we define ourselves and our success in life? As human beings, I believe we are defined by the way we spend and extend our energy. More specifically, we are defined by who we choose to love and how we decide to show it. In 20 years, we aren't going to remember our SAT score, or whether we scored 5 or 6 goals our senior year. We aren't going to remember how much money we had in our bank account, or how many TikTok followers we had. What we are going to remember, however, are the little moments with those we love. The moments nobody could ever put a number on. Whether or not you realized it, our last 4 years at CHS have been a great gift. The chance to have these moments with loved ones each and every day. Yes, we will remember bigger events like the pep rally, spirit week, prom, and graduation. But what I think we'll miss the most is the little things. Running up the stairs of the senior lot with friends at 8:15. Chanting, "Open it," at lunch. Listening to Natalie's morning announcements. Rushing to get to the lunchroom before we get stuck in the line. Crying in Mr. McCabe's class on the last day of school. Right now it seems all over, but it's not. We'll carry these moments with us forever, for they are what truly count. I want to take this opportunity to thank the adults who have stuck by our side through it all. Whether it was dropping off lunches from the stay home as tow cars in the office, picking us up at the back circle after a late sports game, or rushing home from work to make a 7 p.m. concert, we appreciate you. Whether it was sitting with us as we painfully learned how to read, or years later hovering around the kitchen table at 10 p.m. on December 31st, finalizing months of college applications, we appreciate it all. My parents have been my lifeboat throughout. They'd watch from afar as I went to learn to swim, but were always there to save me when I started to drown. Deep down from the bottom of our hearts, thank you to those who have stood by us. Class of 2022, let's make a promise to hug our parents more. Text I love you to family members. Go get Starbucks with your friends. Take your siblings to get ice cream. FaceTime your grandmother. This is what counts. Help your dad build a tree fort. Make a pasta dinner with your mom. Watch the sunrise with friends. Play soccer with your brother at Milliken Field. Discover what sets your soul on fire and spend every day pursuing it. Count memories, not money. Along the way, try to make a difference. Changing just one person's world is still changing the world. And while saying goodbye today, let's spend more time appreciating what we've had rather than crying over what we've lost. As you set sail, always remember class of 2022. You are so much more than a number. Thank you.
This time I'd like to invite to the podium Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Patrick Sullivan.
Thank you all. It was a wonderful meeting, Bridget. So members of the Cohasset School Committee, esteemed faculty, families, and of course graduates, welcome to today's graduation where we honor the accomplishments of the Cohasset High School class of 2022. Before I begin my brief remarks, I want to thank Principal Scott and his team for their magnificent work in celebrating the seniors. Please join me in a warm round of applause. Also, I want to express my thanks to the town of Cohasset, to the school committee, to the district leadership, to staff, and to families for placing students first and for everything you have done for the class of 2022. Please join me in a round of applause to acknowledge families and all who have helped make this milestone possible for these years. To the graduates, congratulations. It is wonderful that we are once again here in person for this beautiful graduation. However, I must be honest with you, at this point in my life, I do not remember much of my own high school graduation. Let's face it, no one really looks great in these hats, caps, and gowns, particularly me now, as my school colors might be just a bit too blue. As my 7-year-old son remarked upon seeing me in this graduation gown, "Dad, you look like a giant bluebird." And actually, someone called me Elsa from Frozen out there. I won't mention her that. So perhaps not remembering one's place in the graduation ceremony too vividly is a blessing. Graduating in today's world is no small achievement. While you have been looking forward to prom, to class night, this graduation ceremony, and a lot of parties, you've dealt with the pressures of social media, racially motivated violence, tragic school shootings, climate change, the war in Ukraine, and a global pandemic. What remains consistent is that graduation ceremonies are in many ways a gateway to adulthood, a commencement to you deciding what is important to you, to determining what your imprint will be on this world, to deciding who you will spend time with, who you will build a family with, the code by which you will live. As you move into the quote-unquote real world, you also begin to see, if you don't know this already, that those of us older people don't know all the answers. In fact, we sometimes, as it has been said before, don't ask the correct questions. So if there is going to be a change in the world for the better, it's going to come from you. Some thoughts to keep in your hearts along your journey. Stay true to yourself, dare to be audacious, be kind and empathetic, and speak up and have those difficult conversations. As former President Barack Obama puts it, stand up for one another's rights. Leave behind the old ways of thinking that divide us. Sexism, racial prejudice, status, greed, and set the world on a different path. But you know that already. As Ruth Bader Ginsburg put it, whatever you choose to do, leave tracks. That means don't do it just for yourself. You will want to leave the world a little better for having lived. To change a famous saying slightly, this is important, you can do it, and you owe it to yourselves not to give up on each other. Best of luck in your future endeavors, class of 2022. Keep making us proud and enjoy this wonderful day.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. It is my pleasure now to welcome our class order, Ms. Isley Wilson.
Good afternoon, family, friends, peers, and staff. And thank you for coming out today to support us as we begin the next chapter of our lives. As many of you know, I take pride in my sneaker collection. One of my biggest pastimes is looking for new ways to improve it by staying up to date on the latest trends and releases on GOAT. Definitely not StockX after their fake sneaker selling scandal. About once a week, I remove my sneakers from their boxes and begin to refresh my collection, starting with my favorites. It goes like this: quick hair shoe cleaner, conditioner and water, stiff brush to the mid and outer soles, toothbrush into the crevices. Then I wait as they air dry. You might be thinking to yourself, Isaac, there's no way you put that much effort into cleaning your sneakers. Or, oh my God, it's not that serious. Shoes are meant to be worn. My response to that comes to the wise words of Forrest Gump. You can tell a lot about a person by their shoes, where they're going and where they've been. I want to take a moment to focus on where we're going. Where are we, the graduating class of 2022, going? As we walk into the next chapter of our lives, we must remember that we aren't just representing ourselves, but our families, neighborhoods, and school community. We as a group had a fair share of our nasty rumors, bad grades, and breakdowns. However, we've matured into young adults who are intelligent, supportive, amiable, never afraid to advocate for what we believe in, and pretty good looking. We currently live in a world filled with more hate than love, but we continue to be positive role models for our underclassmen. We are part of a generation that fights for social inequity because we choose to just tune out the ignorance of the world and seed humility. I encourage you to stay compassionate. Always take the extra minute out of your day to lift someone else up. The small things will build up to make a brighter tomorrow. Before we can focus on bettering the world, we need to focus on bettering ourselves. In April, I was invited to a MECO Youth Leadership Conference. The guest speaker, Anthony Valentine, spoke about how bettering yourself and walking in your purpose can change the world. During his speech, he touched on 5 life skills that I hope you will embody as you enter the next phase of your life. Number 1, build self-love. You have to remain confident within yourself because throughout your journey, you're going to face a lot of adversity. Companies may turn you down for specific positions or deny your business proposal. But self-love will pick you back up onto your feet and push you to schedule more meetings or drive you to start your own business and become your own boss. Number 2, pace yourself. If you don't, you may burn out. You can keep a detailed checklist of your tasks you have completed and your next steps because good things take time. Number 3, knowledge wells. I think this is one of the most critical steps. You want to surround yourself with positive people who want the best for you, will hype you up, pour into you, and ultimately want you to succeed just as they want to succeed. With that being said, number 4, pour into others. Of course, you'd wish for the positive people to surround you, but you have to be that positive person for someone else. If you become selfish and don't equally pour into other people, your well will dry, and nobody wants that. Lastly, number 5, feed into yourself. This last part is 2 steps. The first is self-reflection. Look back at that checklist and see what you have accomplished to know where you can improve the next time. After reflecting, make sure to hype yourself. Whether that's treating yourself to a spa day, a designer bag, or the new lilac dunks that are about to drop. However you see fit, do it. I want to thank my family, friends, and the whole class of 2022. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for making my high school experience as unique as it was. I'll miss you all, and I can't wait to see the amazing things we accomplish. And I wish you all great success in your future endeavors. Let's lace up our boots and change the world. Thank you.
I'd like to now welcome our class valedictorian, Ben Ford.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome as we gather in celebration of the graduation of Cohasset HS class of 2022. Many would equate this, graduating high school, to the end of the chapter in the book of lives. Maybe time will change my perspective, but I think it's so much more. It feels as if we completed the first installment of an epic saga. We had our share of highs, athletic triumph, artistic achievement, and academic excellence, and undoubtedly our fair share of less pleasant experiences. But we made it, and that's something to be incredibly proud of. I, and this entire community, are so incredibly proud of you. You all have shown remarkable resilience, incredible patience, and immeasurable potential grown to accomplish things. Before we walk the stage in just a few moments and write our own bittersweet conclusions to this novel, I would like to take a moment to reflect on a previous chapter. For all of you who went to Deer Hill, I am sure you remember the circus. If you weren't around then, let me tell you, it was a real spectacle. For 1 week each year, a group of traveling instructors would come to Deer Hill with an inordinate amount of circus equipment and teach a few hundred uncoordinated 9 to 12-year-olds how to do a couple of circus tricks. The week then culminated in a big performance by 5th graders. I know what you're thinking right now, parents. No better way to spend your Friday night than watching a poorly coordinated 12-year-old stumble around on stilts, throw juggling balls all over the place, and drop their spinning plates for an hour or two. For us kids, however, this was one of the best weeks of the year. We got to spend our gym classes, a whole week practicing our skills, and if you were to ask my 5th grade self, nothing is better than learning how to play with a makeshift projectile. I did the spinning plates in the circus. I remember it was a thick plastic plate with a wide, shallow cone-shaped bottom that was balanced on a dull point of a wooden stick about 2 feet long. I also remember that there was this one trick I really wanted to perform. You had to get the plate spinning, balance it on your open palm, pop your hand up so the plate went airborne for a moment, and in that split second, you had to grab a stick in the middle, flip it over, and catch the plate. That's where I saw my first lesson, balance. And you need it for every trick there. The Chinese yo-yo, the devil sticks, tightrope, stilts, and all those other things we did. For all of them, balance was the first and most critical component. There, balance was a physical state, an equilibrium of force vectors, if you will, but balance, in a slightly different sense, is needed for life too, especially in the journey that we are all about to embark upon. And it's not the ability to jam your schedule so full that you can barely manage to do anything you've signed yourself up for. In this frame, I believe that balance is the ability to live a full life, to be productive, hold meaningful relationships, and yes, to stop and look around once in a while, as the great well of philosophical knowledge that is Ferris Bueller's Day Off tells us. Another thing I remember learning about was failure. I can't even begin to describe how many times I dropped that plate on the first day alone, or the second day. The funny thing is, on the 3rd day, I dropped it a few less times, and a few less on the 4th. Don't get me wrong, the plate was so collaborated for an astronomical rate, just a little less. Sometimes I wouldn't be able to get it spinning. It would just fly off the stick and clatter to the floor. Other times I tried to trick, missed it more often than not, and again, it would fall to the floor. But every time, no matter how frustrated I was, I would grab it off the ground, put it back on my stick, and start spinning it. Soon I would be able to get the plate to start spinning more often than not. By the third or fourth day, I could do a trick or two. By the fifth day or so, I was able to do the trick, the one where I flip the stick or two. I did it by practice, by making mistakes. As a cinematic masterpiece, Mega Man puts it, there's a benefit to losing. You get to learn from your mistakes. Every time I dropped the plate, I learned something about balancing. Every time kids double stick at the floor, the Chinese yo-yos went flying, when they tipped over in their stilts, when they came stumbling off the tightrope, and when the juggling balls flew out of their hands out of control, they learned. That week, we learned the value of making mistakes, and simultaneously, that of taking time to practice and learn from them. When it came time for the show, I almost wish I could say it went off without a hitch. Give the story a nice ending, wrap it neatly in a bow, and tell you all my practice finally paid off and made perfect. That's not how it went. In fact, I think I like it better this way. When it was time for the spinning place to perform, I got up in the front row, probably because I was, as I still am, pretty short, and I got my plate spinning. I warmed up with a few easy tricks, and then I decided it was time for the showstopper. So I tossed up the plate, grabbed the stick in the middle, flipped it, positioned the stick under the plate, and watched the plate glance off the dull wooden point and slowly climb to the floor. I failed, hadn't I? Not really, if you ask me. I like to think that you only fail when you give up. If you haven't given up, you just made a mistake. And mistakes aren't the end of the world, they're a chance to improve. So I did the thing I had practiced the most that week. I bent over, picked up the plate, rested its rim on the dull wooden point of my stick, and got it spinning again. And then I tried it. I launched the plate off the stick. I grabbed the stick from the center once more. I flipped it again. But this time, the peak of the cone met the point of the dial, and it stayed. Now I'll be honest, I don't remember too much about that moment or even the week beyond what I just told you. I remember that I was proud of myself when I got the trick, and that I had a fun time learning the spinning plate that week with all my friends. I've learned that you don't really remember everything that happens, but you remember how you felt. So standing here, looking at all of you, I remember how you made me feel. I remember friendships. I remember playing tag on the preschool playground with Josh Burke and running into a slide and getting what I thought was a really cool scar. Or sharp pain of nervous excitement I experienced many times with my best friend Nikolai when our 6-year-old selves were searching for Bigfoot in the woods behind the water tower. I'm telling you, those woods were squatching. The fun I had as a ball boy with Lucas and Kevin Fairley at all those varsity soccer games while I was in about 5th grade, with the pride of creating the egg dominus rex with Nikolai, an engineering marvel by the standards of 5th grade egg drops, which ultimately did just as well as Gregor and Lucas's green blow-up, a device with about as complicated a design as the name suggests. Or laughing all the way through Streets of Science Avengers, a 6th grade cinematic saga detailing how Jake Gower, Gregor Gumpel, Ryan Norton, and myself commented the world's greatest villain, played by Hayden Gower. And in 8th grade, when I personally learned how teams could really be like family through wrestling, just ask Gregor. I'm great at acting like his very own mildly annoying little brother. And during lockdown, sharing long runs or bike rides into the longer tops, Top Turkey Hill with Nathan Sharon, Liam Heinlein, and Andrew Buckley, going up to the field with those guys in Little Duxbury to play some soccer, or as we prefer to call it, footy. Or going home those same nights of the pandemic and being embarrassingly bad at Fortnite, which I really just played to get some laughs with all my friends. Or seeing beautiful sunsets with Liam, Nathan, and Gregor and Tegan and Aaron. And convincing Bridget Conrad and Lisa Lee that they didn't really need all the caffeine in that Celsius to survive the cross-country race, though they never really listened. And running on the beach, the cross-country boys were blasting classic rock from Will Griffin's mini speaker, cracking jokes and making the run something we all could enjoy, and singing Living Your Dreams by Rainy Rodriguez daily on the road trip with Liam just because he loved the song. And it was laughing until I was crying at the lunch table with whatever absurdity Andrew Buckley said, or whatever half-baked idea about road tripping to UCLA in a single day that Wade Pizzello came up with. And the teachers we spent so much time talking about history and global events with Mr. Levisi, about physics problems or bike riding with Mr. Sears, about the next jazz piece with Miss Moriarty, about amazing hikes with Mr. Turner, about running and music with Mr. McCabe, about mountain biking with Mr. Fortin, about college, races, scavenger hunts, and just about everything with Mrs. Humphrey. All of these people, and many more, have taught me so much. They've taught me how to learn from my mistakes, and they took the opportunity to teach me from them. They've been there to support me when I've stumbled, and I've had the honor of being there for some of them when they need support. That's community, that's friendship, that's love. That's why we are here today. I told you at the start that we were gathered here to celebrate the graduation of the class of 2022. That's not wrong, but it's only partially true. We're here to celebrate a community that we all forged together, both inside and outside of school. One where we've been able to learn from each other through our successes and our mistakes, where we've had unforgettable experiences and formed everlasting bonds with one another. I can never really put together any string of words to describe all of this, what it's meant to me, what it's felt like, and hopefully what it has meant to all of you. So as we write our elegant conclusion to this book, almost 2 decades in the making, I'd like to leave with this quote from a childhood staple in each book. How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. Thank you, all of you, for just being you, and for being the answers. Goodbye.
Members of the school committee, Chairman McClellan, Dr. Sullivan, and Dr. Scoggins, it gives me great pleasure to certify to you that the candidates seated before you have met all of the requirements for graduation as established by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Cohasset School Committee. Our assistant principal, Ms. Noyes, will read our graduates' names as they cross the stage to receive their diplomas.
Benjamin George Ford. National Honor Society. Bridget Buckley Conrad. National Honor Society. Audrey Kathleen Ryan. Amanda Darrow Khan. Evelyn Julianne Dickey, National Honor Society. Grayson Rose Lord, National Honor Society. Liam Baptist Highline, National Honor Society. Riley Margaret Nichols, National Honor Society. Justin Liam Appleby. James Patrick Appleton, National Honor Society. Sarah Helen Basile, National Honor Society. Brandon Daniel Bafontaine. Joshua James Burke. Nathaniel Barnes Sharon. Brendan Joseph Zingari, National Honor Society. Stephen Peter Crumley. Sarah Catherine Cullinan. Nora Helen Cunningham. Henry Beckett Denisio. Michael Blake Donahue. Taya Marie Dudek. William Cooper Duxbury. Brooke Elizabeth Evans, National Honor Society. Georgia Marie Fales. John Carrington Fox. Kevin Davis Becky, National Honor Society. Lucas Anton Fairley, National Honor Society. Ellen Tate Fox, National Honor Society. Tristan John Fitzsimmons. Justin Daniel Freuer. Mia Elizabeth Froyo, National Honor Society. Perry Rose Fusco. Phoebe Grace Fusco. Nola Jane Gallagher, National Honor Society. Jenna Marie Giglia. Lisa Oga Gilbert. Madison Marie Gould, National Honor Society. Jacob Allen Gowell. Gregor Scott Gumpel. Nicholas Robert Henry, National Honor Society. Viola Sage Henry, National Honor Society. Luke Ellison Herden, National Honor Society. Percival Theodore Hilliard. Anthony Gregory and Ferrer. Maeve Catherine Carney, National Honor Society. Joshua William Kripke, National Honor Society. Anthony Peter Palterides. Joseph Reese Copperstein. Calliope Catherine Lanier, National Honor Society. Amelia Nicole Lawson. Christian Thomas Lewis. Ryan Francis Lynch. Lyons. Colin James Madden, National Honor Society. Ryan Christopher Madden, National Honor Society. Bridget Kristen Mahoney, National Blake Christopher Martinez. Matthew Archibald McDowell. McKean. Christina Mary McMillan. Madeline Ray Miller, National Honor Society. Will Michael Malloy. Bryce Alexander Morrissey. Olivia Jane Morton. Abigail Samantha Moy, National Honor Society. Kelsey Lee Murphy. Justine Elizabeth Najjar. Lucas Anthony Najjar. Liesl Rose Nee, National Honor Society. Connor Bancroft Nichols, National Honor Society. Patricia. May Patricia Norton. Benjamin James Nabeling. Rio Nozawa, National Honor Society. Giselle Gabrielle Placerville. Nikolai Joseph Olson, National Honor Society. Atlas Purcell. Lily Rose Riley, National Honor Society. Samuel Finbar Rogers. Austin Christopher Rowan. Miranda Jean Schmidt, National Honor Society. George Simmons Seen. Natalie Vanessa Simone. Samili Vieira Soares, National Honor Society. Jackson Kent Soderberg. Jacob Charles Squatrito, National Honor Society. Molly May Stevens. Andre James Sweet. Etkatina Haley Sweet. Catherine Elizabeth Sweet, National Honor Society. Peter Robert Natello. Lillian Amelia Wallingford, National Honor Society. Julia Margaret Willett, National Honor Society. Katrin Irene Williams, National Honor Society. Isley Noah Wilson. Elaine Michelle Wickstead, National Honor Society. Mac William Woodgate. Kevin Peter Wren, National Honor Society. Margaret Elizabeth Young, National
Listening yesterday when we said after. We'll do it again. Class of 2022. You had me from hello. Actually, you had me from hello shop. It was the first day of school, and like most days, I tried to stand outside. At the beginning of the day, I stand at the back circle and greet the younger students, watching them kiss their parents goodbye, and this year, fumble to put their masks on as their eyes nervously anticipate what the day will bring. And I try to greet them and be a friendly face and make them feel welcome and ease their anxiety. At the end of the day, I stand in front of the building. And I do that because, well, I do that because you're all terrible drivers. And as the first day ended, I went out about 5 minutes before the bell, and a girl was standing at the top of the stairs by the parking lot. She was clearly a sixth grader, as they were allowed to leave first, mostly to avoid the rush of students about to come. She was pleasant and clearly waiting for someone, and I thought, I wonder if I should ask her to move. And before I could finish my thought, the bell rang, and the stampede of seniors exited excitedly from the building. Molly Stevens was first out, and she half paused to make sure that this student saw her and leaned over and said, "Hi, Charlotte, how was your first day?" Another student followed. "Hi, Charlotte, did you love it?" And another, and another. And one by one, as the seniors made their way from the doors to the cars, they made certain to check in to make sure that Charlotte, who was now grinning from ear to ear, had a good first day. And I thought to myself, who is this Charlotte person? What kind of mysterious power does she hold over students that they pay her homage? A few days later, I was standing in the learning commons at our senior meeting. And as I canned the landscape of blondes and brunettes, a plume of red that's Ellie Fox and Friends caught my eye. Describing what I saw, I looked in that direction for an explanation, to which Lily responded, chuckling, "That's my sister." And I was impressed. The opposite of every 80s movie I'd ever seen. Weeks before, we had met with the Senior Student Council leadership in August to get their thoughts on how they wanted the year to go. We'd come out of a year and into a summer where we thought COVID might be in the past, only to find a resurgence of the latest variant and a return to masks and uncertainty. And my question to them was pointed. What do you want the year to be about? And so was Bridget and Liam's response. We want it to be about us, not just the seniors. We want it to be about all of us. And it was. You made it very clear that you wanted the year to be what school could be, even if that wasn't what it used to be. You set an example in the classroom, in the halls, at games, and at shows. You didn't let all of the noise and the yelling and the nastiness that COVID brought with it break you down, because you were finally together. All of you. All of us. Standing outside in the morning is a calm way to start the day if the weather cooperates. There are days when you can smell the ocean. When a storm is coming, you can see the turkey vultures flying the trees. And every now and then, you get a glimpse of geese flying overhead. They're a funny species because unlike the seagulls or the turkey vultures, geese fly deliberately as a group, in V formation. And it turns out they do this on purpose. You see, it takes more energy to fly alone. Flying together creates more lift, which allows them to fly longer distances and over longer periods of time with less weight. The more scientists study the geese, the more they understand just how deliberate their actions are. When one goose falls out of formation, the group works to get back together because maintaining formation benefits the flight of the whole flock. Similarly, if a goose gets sick, other geese fall out with it until the injured goose is able to fly again and can rejoin. Even in the absence of injury, the geese recognize their collective power. The goose at the front of the V doesn't have the benefit of the lift that the others do, and the job can be more difficult. But when the lead goose gets tired, the next one steps up to take its place, sharing the leadership role among each other, encouraging each other, honking as they persist on their journey. They're committed to each other, they stick together, and together they are strong. And it got me thinking, we have strong geese. Georgia, who literally saved the farm. Kevin Wren, the guidance department's answer to any kid who ever needed a tutor. Jake and Noah, whose presence on the stage transformed themselves and through that our experiences. Anthony Pilterides, who went from freshman MIA to school spirit MVP. Evelyn and Maeve, who made the fight for wellness a student issue and created a reality from what was once just an idea. Olivia, whose breathtaking mural made the sea come to life. Rio, Isley, and Atlas, who tirelessly immersed themselves in making this a more just world, one conversation at a time. Tristan, Sam, Matt, Percy, Kat, and Justine, whose strength and resilience show up every day. And Grayson, who takes it upon herself to actively make her teams in our school a better place. She was once described to me by a colleague simply as the alpha. It's a true story. I could certainly go on and on. Your individual achievements are among the most impressive in my time here, and you deserve them, you've earned them. But it isn't what you've done for yourselves, but what you've done for others that's your legacy. How gracious and welcoming and appreciative Mrs. McGinnis's classes were of Miss Piasecki, who joined us as a student teacher earlier in the year. The important and selfless work that Miss Crimmon's AP language classes did with the students at Deer Hill. That time when Ben and Gregor surprised Mr. Levisi with a Ulysses S. Grant themed pumpkin for Halloween, which he loved so much that he proudly displayed it on his guests until it rotted. Or when the flight attendant from American Airlines left me a voicemail about how wonderful you were on the way to Europe. The rousing happy birthday to Mr. Leary on his 75th birthday. The perpetually upbeat greetings by Bimo and Mia at times that didn't seem so upbeat. You infused joy into a school and a community at a time when joy seemed to be doing its best to hide until this was over. But you coaxed it out. You coaxed it out with fall musicals and winter concerts that filled the seats with people, the air with song, and the stage with dancing queens. You coaxed it out with incredibly powerful runs in the arena, when field hockey and boys soccer made it to the Elite Eight only to lose to the eventual finalists and champions. When girls basketball gifted us the most thrilling and likely of upsets against perennial powerhouse Cathedral. With the emergence of Viola's Inner Lion and the dominant We Not Me South Shore League Championship ski team. Through a heartbreaking loss by the girls soccer team in the state title game in overtime. And when football finished the job and brought home the first state title since 2014. The success our Springs team are enjoying will only amplify the joy in the faces of children who proudly bear the Cohasset logo on youth uniforms and poster board signs as they cheer your farewell in the parking lots. On the faces of parents as they cheer your return and celebrate your triumphs at the lobster tree lighting and the holiday stroll. But it isn't just your achievement that brings joy. When you read to the students at Osgood and sing to the students at Deer Hill, you invite them to experience that joy by sharing not what you've done, but who you are. Because people don't root for trophies. People root for people. You even gave the underclassmen joy when you gifted them the semi-formal. These are the moments that was fun. Didn't show. These are the moments that sustain us in our journeys. The invitation to our littles to be part of something bigger than themselves. The gathering of alumni on a cold utility afternoon to stand with classmates against injustice. The impromptu celebration of a Deer Hill student with a rare disease at halftime of a football game. The unannounced arrival of friends to help you feel normal when the world is anything but. As I told you in September, the more you include everyone, the more they will fall in love with you. And that's the truth. The more you make it about others, the more others make it about you. Because love is reciprocal. It connects those places in us that we can't ever see or hear or touch, but that make up the very essence of our humanity and provide the very source of our true purpose. Wherever your journeys lead, always remember that you're stronger together with whomever you consider to be your flock. Stay in formation, share the load, and don't forget to hug. I wish you nothing but the best. I present to you the class of 2022.